Yes, guys, how are you? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. We got some breaking news from Fabrizio Romano on this Sunday night, Sunday at 5 p.m. An exclusive from Romano says that Tottenham are on the verge of signing Croatian centre-back top talent Luka VUSKOVIC after top project for his development. VUSKOVIC only wants Spurs, despite interest from 5 more top clubs. Personal terms are agreed. The club is finalizing paperwork. He's given it the here we go. We're doing it again, guys. It is completely out of nowhere. And to be entirely honest, I wasn't that familiar with the name. I seem to remember hearing and reading a lot about this guy, maybe back in March, February, was it, after the window, that Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City were very much interested in him. I think from memory that there was 10.5 million euro bids or 12 million euro bids that were, seemingly the going rate for this guy's services. It all went a little bit quiet over the summer. And now we find out today, out of the blue, out of absolutely nowhere, that Tottenham Hotspur have signed him. So obviously I don't know that much about him. I don't follow Croatian football, forgive me. But let's find out a little bit about this guy. Matty Hayes, big up to Matt. He has come out with a tweet saying Luka VUSKOVIC is 16 years old and has made 8 first-team appearances in the league for #Split. At 16, he is already 6'4" at 16 and is the youngest player to play in the Croatian top flight, joint first, youngest player to feature in the #Split versus Dynamo Zagreb derby fixture, and is the youngest goal scorer in #'s history. He achieved all this within 5 days of his 16th birthday. An absolute, a unit to be 6'4" at 16. I hear that you can still grow until you're 21. I don't know how much taller this guy could get. Could be like a basketball player. At some point, I'm not sure if you want it to get any taller. 6'7", 6'8", you don't want to be any taller than that, do you? But anyway, the guy is an absolute physical specimen. Let's talk a little bit about who this guy is, shall we? So let me start with this. How good is Luka VUSKOVIC? Well, described by football scout Jacek Kulig as, quote, the world's best 15-year-old last year. VUSKOVIC has certainly lived up to the billing this season. This article that I'm reading this from was written in May, so it's reflecting on last year. In fact, let me just scoot back up a little bit higher, because there is, in fact, the Fabrizio Romano tweet here that I was talking about from March. It was March of 2023, late March. He said, there's a crazy race to sign #Stuk's 2007-born centre-back Luka VUSKOVIC. Manchester City are still working on it after bid revealed 2 weeks ago. Also, Paris Saint-Germain want him, and more Premier League clubs are joining the race. His agent is Pini Zahavi. PSG are also monitoring Benfica, Gem, Cher, and Dur. The article starts by saying that VUSKOVIC was being courted by City and PSG, and the latter have reportedly had a 10.5 million euro bid accepted. That clearly wasn't the case. But the 16-year-old has attracted the attention of some of Europe's elite sides, and for good reason. The Croatian starlet is considered one of the biggest talents in Europe at the moment. Let's find out why. A product of the #Split Academy, VUSKOVIC helped his side's under-19 team to go on a fairy tale run in the UEFA Youth League, reaching a final that ultimately ended in disappointment, losing 5-0 to AZ Alkmaar. But he was promoted to the senior squad upon turning 16. The central defender has received solid minutes since, making 6 top-flight appearances. Maybe the other 2 that Matt was referring to happened after this article was released. I don't think he's made any appearances this season yet, but I think he did make 8 last season, started 6 of the games as well for them as well. So incredible stuff to be doing that so young. He conceded 8 goals in his first 2 league outings, but #Stuk's defense was much improved after that, keeping 2 clean sheets with him starring at the back. Despite his imposing physique and standing at 193, 6'3". So maybe he's grown an inch in the last three months. Slow down, Luka. Slow down. VUSKOVIC is an excellent ball-playing defender. Indeed, he is a, quote, modern defender in every sense of the word. He's comfortable in ball possession, blessed with good athleticism, and endowed with the necessary game intelligence to play at a high level. Due to his imperious presence and on-the-ball skills, VUSKOVIC is an incredibly dangerous goal threat too. At 14, the centre-back racked up the most goals in #Stuk's under-17 side. This season, he has a tally of 6 goals. Obviously, this last season, he got a tally of 6 goals in the Croatian Under-19 League, as well as 2 additional strikes in the UEFA Youth League. He has also managed a goal for the senior team already, scoring in the Cup quarter-final against Osijek. What clubs are interested in Luka VUSKOVIC? Despite his tender years, VUSKOVIC is already one of Europe's hottest commodities. Reports of Manchester City's submitting a €12 million offer first surfaced on March the 20th, and PSG reportedly knew that they had to make an offer that was similar, and apparently €10.5 million was accepted, claims at least reports in Croatia. Of course, that's clearly not true because of what we're hearing today. According to L'Equipe, VUSKOVIC also has several suitors in Germany, though specific clubs were not named. The 16-year-old has family ties to Germany, as his brother Mario is currently a member of the squad of Hamburger SV in the German second division. Mario recently made headlines after being banned for allegedly using illicit substances. It says here that VUSKOVIC could leave #Split as early as this summer. Well, that didn't happen. What has happened is that he apparently right now is about to sign a deal. The Here We Go is done for him to come to Tottenham. It's obviously outside of the transfer window, so he won't be able to join us now. If it does happen, I'm guessing that he would join. The plan might be for him to join on January the 1st, the earliest opportunity. But of course, we don't know whether or not the intentions are for him to come to Tottenham and go straight and compete straight in for first team opportunities, which would be very interesting if that's how advanced and how much potential this guy has. Whether he would be used in the under-21s alongside Dorrington and Ash Phillips, or whether we would loan him back out to either #Split to continue his development or send him somewhere else. Listen, what I would say is at 16 years old, obviously you have to handle that development very carefully. You have to nurture it. You have to consider his family, his friends. I'm not even sure if he will technically have finished school yet. So there might be some considerations in that regard. What I'd also say is that Croatians that do leave their hometown and come into Europe often do very well. Tottenham have got a great track record in buying players that come from Croatia generally. Obviously, Luka Modric, Vedran, Luka is another example, as was Nico Kranjčar. All 3 of those absolute stars for Tottenham in their own right. So Tottenham have got a track record of doing well with Croatian players. And I think it reaffirms for me that Paratici is still probably pulling the strings. A few years ago when he came in, his ultimate mandate, I guess, was to rework the entire workings of the football club's footballing side of the operations. And a lot of that was aimed around trying to identify and acquire the best young talent around Europe. And it seems like even though he's not in official capacity at Tottenham anymore, that those strings are still being pulled and these sorts of deals are still being able to be completed. It's a wonderfully exciting piece of news. As I don't really know what we're working with here. I don't follow the Croatian league, but what I have seen of him in his highlight reels, low light reels, everything real on Y-Scout, he does look like a guy who knows how to tackle. His timing looks very good. Does look confident on the ball, competent on the ball. And obviously, he's head and shoulders above so many other players on the pitch that it's really not difficult to see why he's such a threat. Aerially, both defensively and offensively. It's great news. What that remains to be seen for me, though, is whether or not this particular signing is going to interrupt or influence our desire to get a ready-made first team ready backup for Romero and or Vicky van der Ven in January. Reports out this morning about Lloyd Kelly that the deal is actually still on for January, that Tottenham are actually hopeful that they'll be able to get him for a cut price fee because he allegedly is in his last year of his contract. And again, to me, I'm not entirely sure why we're looking at this guy. For me, I think it has more to do with the fact that there's a good business decision there, given the fact that he is a left-sided centre-back that can play with his left foot. I'm not sure if his left foot is his dominant foot, but he would be considered a left-footer, left-sided centre-back, in the basic typical stance. And so because those sorts of players are in such short supply and in such high demand, that it might make sense just to buy him from a Tottenham business perspective kind of thing, similar to like Emmanuel Solomon, where there might be a higher sell-on value. It's also worth pointing out that both Liverpool and Newcastle are also monitoring the situation with Lloyd Kelly. I personally still can't really understand what it is that is so interesting about the player. He is versatile. He can play at left back or left-sided centre-back. But when I look at his stats and when I've seen the Y-Scout reels, I just don't really know or understand what it is that's so interesting about him. However, when you know that Tottenham are interested and Newcastle and Liverpool, if your competition, the sort of ilk of Liverpool and Newcastle, are still looking at him as well, then maybe that there's something to his game that that they're seeing that I particularly haven't. I'll trust the scouts at Tottenham. I'll trust what Ange Postecoglou wants to do, but it'd just be interesting to see now whether or not that deal is still necessary if we're doing this, or if this guy is ready for competition, ready to step up, like an Ash Phillips, like a Dorrington, or are they, is it all too early for him and this is just one for the future? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Do you know too much about this guy? Anything about this guy? Have you followed Croatian football? Have you heard a lot about him in the past? Are you excited about it? I am, but let me know what you think the plan is for him. Is he going to be loaned out? Is he going to be staying in Croatia for a little while? Or will he come over straight away and try to ruffle some feathers in the pecking order for a spot defensively? Like, subscribe, and of course, comment, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. And as always, bye-bye.